Hello everybody, welcome to this wonderful reading. I'm so young, welcome. So basically in this reading, this is going to be for the way of how this is going to be, the way of how authentic it seems to be. This is going for April 22nd to May 1st of 2025. So basically in this wonderful reading, I just want to say that this is just the way of how this is the way of how this is going to be. So whether this can be a good tarot reading or not, you have to emphasize about what's going on in that way, in that perspective, how it's going to be in that way. So you have to have your own opportunity, your own life skills, your own ways of knowing. Well, okay, well this is the way it goes. This is the way it happens. This is the how it seems to be. You have your own dignity, your self-respect, your way of how you can have your own easily control moments and give it time, right? That's why it seems to be. So the way of how this is, going to be, the opportunity to learn and emphasize and how it's going to be. You have to believe that what's going to happen, and when it's going to be very interesting of how it's going to be, you have to do what you can. Say, all right, well, this is the way it needs to be. This is the way it seems to be, and this is the way of how it goes. So when things go into a different direction, you have to pay attention on the way of how this is, right? This is like an opportunity to understand that, right? And whenever things go a different angle or a different way, it's like, well, this is the way it seems to be, right? So this is the way it is. And when you understand about how it seems to be, you have to think to yourself and say, well, this is the way it goes. This is the way it is, right? And whenever you do that, that's the way it kind of goes, right? You have to believe that, oh, well, this is an opportunity. I need to understand this. This is the way it is, right? So when you have your own way and saying, all right, this is the way, an opportunity to understand that. That's the way it seems to be, right? This is the way kind of opportunity about how it's going to be folding or unfold, whatever it is, right? That's the way it seems to be. That's the way it kind of concludes in that way. So, in this beautiful format about what's going on, we have to understand about how we're going to be in that way, and this is the way it seems to be. So this oracle card I'm going to read you is Indecision. I use my intuition in all aspects of life. That's the way it kind of includes, where when you have your own decision, your own way, you have your own gut feelings, whether you like it or not, whether you have your own intuition or use your own psychic abilities, whatever it is. You have to understand that this is the way of how it is when you're another. And when you think back, you think about what's going on in that way of how it is, right? You have to set your own stage or your own way of knowing, okay, well, I know what to do, I got this, it's the way it seems to be. And an opportunity is the way of how you can reflect your own way and saying, all right, this is the way of how it seems to be, I got this. It's like, well, okay, but that's how it seems to be. So when you have your own indecision, you have to pay attention to it. Use it what you have, and count what it takes in that way, right? That's what it seems to be, right? So that's how it is. So let's see what's going on in this wonderful reading, and this is the way of how it's going to be in this way. So this is how it's going to be one way or another. Alright, so this is the way of how it is, and this is the way it kind of goes. So here we go. So in this wonderful way of how this is going to be, we have everything that's kind of like different in this whole entire setup. This is the way of how it kind of everything adults in this situation. We need to understand about how it is in one way or another, and you think, okay, well, this is an opportunity to understand that. This is the way of how it is. This is the way of how it's going to be. You have to have your own self-control, your own abilities from the right and wrong perspective. That's the way it seems to be. So if you have the 5 of Wands, it does represent chaos. 2 of Wands represents like you're playing on something. There are things that you must learn first in order to do that. The 5 of Swords reverse, there's no conflict yet, not yet. The Hangman reverse, there's no restrictions. The 8 of Pentacles reverse, there's more of your career, of your situation. That's the way it goes, right? This is the way of how everything is going to be. And he's thinking, all right, well, this is an opportunity to learn. And this is the way of how I can accept on how things are in that way, in this, how it's going to be in this way, right? So when I see it in this way, it's like, well, this is the way it seems to be in that way. And then it's like, okay, well, this is just the way it kind of goes, right? So when it seems to be that, you have to do what it seems to be, and knowing about what's going on in that way, right? So let's see what's happening. Let's see what's going on. So let's go from the left side to the middle to the right, but I'm going to see this. So let's see what's going on for this 5 of Swords here. So the 6 of Cups is upright, followed by the King of Swords reverse, followed by the 10 of Pentacles is upright. So you're not using your knowledge, but the 6 of Cups does represent your past. So you could be dealing with another Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. 10 of Pentacles, it does represent Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus, as well as Earth signs. What's going on with this King of Swords here? The Queen of Pentacles reversed, followed by the 4 of Pentacles upright. Yeah, because you're looking for money, you're looking for how you're going to be stable in one way or another. That's the way it kind of goes in that way. So you have to have opportunities to understand that, about how you can accept on how things are in that perspective. That's the way it goes, right? So this is the way it seems to be in that way, and you think that, alright, well, this is an opportunity to learn, I got this, I know what to do. But then it's like, okay, well, this is the way it seems to be, I got this. It's like, well, okay, when you have your own wealth, your well-being, you know what to do. But that's how it seems to be. You have to believe that everything seems to be kind and, courteous, and, your well-being, your own way of how you can do it. That's why it seems to be. It's like a life skill, but you have to pay attention on what's going on in that situation. What's between the 5 of Wands and the 2 of Wands? Let me clarify. The 5 of Cups reversed, followed by the 5 of Swords reversed, followed by the 8 of Swords is upright. Yeah, because you're going to have anxiety, because you're feeling sad, you're whimpering, because everything is not going way of how it is. That's why it seems to be. What's between the 5 of Swords and 5 of Cups? The Strength card is upright. Yeah, because you want to have strength, you want to be having your own bravery, because that's the way it seems to be, that's the way it kind of concludes. What's happening with this 8 of Pentacles here? The Sun reverse. Yeah, because you're in negativity. Yeah, because it's like, why I'm having this feeling, why I'm being negative, why I don't want to be this, because that's why it seems to be, because you're not in control of your feelings, or whatever it is. What's with this, the Hangman here? The Lovers reverse, followed with the King of Cups reverse, followed with the 2 of Pentacles upright. Yeah, because you're balancing two things at once. The King of Cups reverse, you're not having any support. That's the way it goes. The Lovers reverse, you already have decisions. You already have that way of how you can do it. That's the way it seems to be. What's the other side of the Hangman? The Tower is upright. Yeah, because there's transformation. Everything is going to change in the way of how you can understand it. That's the way it kind of is in that way. You're thinking, oh, well, this is an opportunity. I got this. But it's like, well, how you can do it. How you can understand about how you're, how you can understand, right? When you have your own control, your own ways of saying, all right, well, this is the way to do it. I need to understand this. That's why it seems to be. That's why it needs to go in that, the way of how this is. So let me clarify for more. So let's see what's going on from the past situation on your left side. The Magician reversed, followed by the Fool reversed, followed by the Ace of Pentacles separate. Yeah, because you want prosperity, right? You want more money, you want that, the way of how it is. That's what it seems to be. Let's clarify the Fool. the King of Cups reverse, yeah, because you don't have any support. Yeah, that's the way it goes. When you have no support, it's like you want to do things on your own. You want to, how you can be that. That's the way it goes. But then it's like, well, this is an opportunity to understand that. This is the way of how it is. It's like, okay, well, I know what to do. I got this. But it's like, well, it doesn't make sense, right? Doesn't make that opportunity about, well, this is the way it seems to be. I need to understand that. What's happening between the Sun card here? The Four of Wands reverse, followed with the King of Swords, Knight of Swords reverse, but the Strength card is upright. Okay, what's opposite with this Knight of Swords here? The Five of Cups reverse, followed with the Knight of Wands is upright. Yeah, because you're having fear. Yeah, you have fear and bravery, because you want to be who you are, and you want to understand about how it is, whether you're focusing on that. You could be focusing on Leo as another fire sign. You could be focusing on Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. You're focusing on another Leo as another fire sign, as a zodiac sign as well. That's what it seems to be. What's happening with the Strength card? Let's see. The High Priestess reverse. Yeah, because you're not using your inner voice. That's the way it kind of concludes, because you're thinking, well, why I'm not using my inner voice? Why I don't see this? Because it doesn't look very promising. It's the way of how you can understand the way how you're feeling, but that's the way it kind of concludes. So it's like how you can do it, how you can master your own way of saying, alright, this is the way it seems to be, right? That's why it's kind of like interesting about, alright, well, this is the way it kind of concludes, because this is the way it seems to be, right? That's why it is. So, let me clarify the left side, please. The Temperance reversed, followed by the Judgment reversed, followed by the Moon reversed, followed by the Magician reversed, followed by the Lovers reversed, followed by the Hermit reversed, followed by the World is upright. Yeah, because everything is completed. That's the way it kind of concludes. What's opposite with the World card? Chariot is upright. Yeah, because I just said that earlier. Is you're making progress. That's why it seems to be in that way. That's why it kind of is in that moment. So you're trying to give it time. You're trying to know what it takes from that way, and saying, well, this is the way it needs to be. I know what to do, but that's what the way of how it goes. What's between the middle and the right side? The Empress is upright, followed by the Chariot reversed, followed by the Death card reversed, followed by the Judgment reversed, followed by the Empress upright, followed by the Wheel of Fortune reversed. Yeah, because you're having bad luck. You want structure, you want the way of how this is, you're having no progress. That's the way it seems to be in that way. That's the way it kind of concludes in the way of how this is. What's happening between basically, the Judgment, the Death card, and the Chariot. Let's see what's going on. The High Priestess reversed, so you're not using your inner voice. But the Devil's upright, yeah, because you're having obsessions, because that's the way it kind of goes. Maybe you're using violence, because it's like how you can do what you can, saying, well, this is the way I need to believe it, or I can understand this. This is the way it kind of is, because the way of how this is, the way how I can interpret it in a different way, that's why it seems to be in that way. It's like, wow, it's like this is the way of how everything is going to be, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't give you validation or whatever it is, right? That's the way it kind of goes in that way, right? That's why it seems to be. So let's continue. Right, so let's see. So I'm going to go from the middle to the left and the middle to the right. So let me see. So go from the middle to the left. The Page of Swords reversed, followed by the Ten of Cups is upright, followed by the Queen of Wands reversed, followed by the Two of Cups is upright, followed by the Empress reversed, While the Knight of Wands is upright, yeah, because someone was acting like immaturity. That's the way it goes. There is basically relationships here. That's the way it goes. The Ten of Cups just represents everything is like completed. That's the way it goes. And the Page of Swords reverse, there is no education here, but you know, maybe you got educated. That's the way it seems to be in that way, right? That's the way it has to be from now on. That's how it is, right? So you have to go with the flow. What's happening between the middle and the right side? The Six of Pentacles is upright, the Nine of Swords is upright, Ball the Judgment is upright, Ball with the Nine of Cups is upright. Yeah, because everything is fulfilled. You want to take action. The Nine of Swords is upright because there's trauma, and the Six of Pentacles is upright because you want kindness. Yeah, because you want to be kind. But the way of how this is, where you know things are going to be into a different way. It's like, why am I feeling this way, or why everything is not going as planned? Because that's the way it kind of looks. It's like, this is the way of opportunity, because that's the way it kind of ends up being. That's the way it kind of is in that way. Let's see what's going on before I do the universe. So let's see. So let me go from who's on the left side, who's in the middle, who's on right. So let's see who's on the left side. Queen of Earth. Thoughtful, creative, warm, sensible. Make time for those around you. Take a sensible approach. Deal with challenges in a kind and understanding manner. Yeah, because you could be dealing with challenges. You could be dealing with whatever it is, but then it's like how you can understand the way of how it goes and the way of how you can proceed with caution, whatever it is. But that's how it seems to be. So you could be dealing with either Virgo, Capricorn, or Taurus in the zodiac signs era. What's happening in the middle? The Page of Water. Intuitive, sensible, sensitive, artistic, friendly. A new person enters your life. Relationship begins a new phase. Heightened psychic abilities. Yeah, I just said that earlier, where you're going to have your own psychic abilities because you're using your intuition. Maybe you're going to use your own gut feelings, or that's the way it kind of goes. But that's how it seems to be in that way. So you could be dealing with another Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio as the way of how this is, but that's how it seems to be in the zodiac sign. The way of how this is. All right. And what's going on for the right side? The Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel. Archangel Michael is a time of positive change. A situation suddenly moves forward. Fortune is on your side. Yeah, because that's the way it kind of goes. Because you could be having good luck on your side. That's going to be coming. Because that's the way it kind of goes. Because you're thinking, alright, well, this is the way it seemed to be. I got this because that's the way it goes. You're trying to not intervene. You're trying to do whatever it takes. Because that's the way it kind of is in that way, right? This is like how it is, right? It's like a foundation, or if it's the way of how it works, right? That's the way it kind of goes. So you could be having good luck on your side. That's the way it seems to be in that way. Alright, now let's see what's going on for the oracle cards here. So what's happening in this situation? Let's see. Let's see on the left side, shall we? The Camel Boy. Small steps, asking for help. Yeah, because you're basically taking small steps because you're moving forward, not going backward. But the way of how this is, you're trying to figure out about what's going on in this situation. Like, why that there's an opportunity to understand that, but that's the way it kind of concludes, right? That's why it seems to be in that way. Because you need to understand that, right? Everything has to be all set in stone, or when everything is all great, but then this is the way it kind of goes, right? That's the way it seems to be. So, the masculine of this situation, you're trying to do what you can, because this is a man situation. It could be that. So, it could be a man of Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn at the same time, alright? Who's in the middle? The Wise Woman of Wonderland. Integrity, compromise. Yeah, in the way of how this is, maybe you're going to be compromising about, you're going to compromise, you're going to agree on whatever it takes, but that's how it seems to be in that way. That's the way it kind of unfolds of the situation, and you're thinking, alright, well, this is the way it kind of goes. This is the way of how it is. So when you're thinking about how it's going to be, that's the way it seems to be in that way. You're thinking, oh, well, this is the way how opportunity is, but that's how it seems to be in that way. So you could be dealing with their feminine as the woman. It could be Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, and so like that. And what's happening on the right side? The High Prince. Spirit communication, paying attention. Yeah, so you could be maybe having spiritual communication, or it could be where you're going to have your own way of having your own ability from how you can do it, how you can look at it, how you can have your own pay attention of that situation. That's the way it kind of concludes. So it's like things have to be in the way of how it goes, because you could be having the masculine situation in this situation saying, alright, well, this is the way it goes, this is the way it happens, because that's the way it goes, right? That's why it seems to be that, because that's the way it kind of unfolds with that situation. It's like you're going from the inflow or the outflow of that situation, okay? So let's see what the universe is saying here. So let me go from one card from the left side, one card from the right, from the middle, one card on the right side. So the growth is reversed, alright, for the Ace of Pentacles. What's in the middle? Knight of Wands reversed, so there's no maturity. And what's on the right side? Ace of Wands, alright, there's new beginnings. Alright, so what's going on for the left side, shall we? The Two of Cups is alright, there's relationships, and the Page of Swords is alright, there's education. Yeah. Between the situation, between the relationships and education, they do work together as a team, because, education is good because you're being educated, and relationships, you're in a relationship, it could be a long-term, short-term, it doesn't matter. But the point being is that you're trying to be staying strong as, the opportunities to look at it from a different perspective. But because that's the way it kind of goes. That's the way it seems to be in that way, because that's what it seems to be. What's happening between this Knight of Wands here? Seven of Cups, sorry, there's a delusion. And the Queen of Wands reversed, there's no charisma. Seven of Swords, sorry, you're feeling deceit. Yeah, that's the way it kind of concludes, because that's the way it seems to be in that way. It's like, why I'm feeling like this, why I'm doing this, because everything is not going as planned, everything is not going your way. But the way of how this is, it's like, well, this is an opportunity to understand that, I need to get going, I need to do this. That's why it seems to be, because that's the way it kind of looks at in that perspective. That's the way it kind of concludes. What's happening is this Ace of Wands here. The Queen of Pentacles here, there's no stability. Ten of Wands here, there's no burdens. Eight of Swords here, there's no anxiety. Two of Wands here, you're not planning. Five of Cups separate, there's grief. Yeah, because you're feeling like, it's like you're feeling unwanted or unimportant, or the way of how this is, because the opportunity has to be strong or steady wins the race, right? It's like short, that's the way it goes, right? Because that's the way it kind of concludes in that way, in that format, because that's the way it kind of goes. So it's like that's the way it seems to be in that way, and you're thinking, well, this is the way it kind of goes in that way, and you're thinking, oh, well, this is the way it seems to be, this is the way it kind of goes, because that's the way it has to be in that situation of that, in the way of how this, complex of this situation, where you need to have your own validation of the way of how it is, right? That's the way it seems to be. So let me try to read you the Enchanted Mapp because that's just the way it seems to be. This is the way it kind of goes. So this is the way it kind of is at the moment. Right, so let's see. Number 7, Into the Unknown. So this can be an upright card. Alright, let's see. Alright, so it says, for number 7, it says, here we go. Into the unknown. It says, trust and all will be revealed. It says, life is adventure, and often new opportunities will arise that you won't know how to deal with. This is one of those times. You're required to trust that this new phase will reveal wonders and miracles as you step into unknown territory. Imagine that you're not only a pathfinder, but a path maker. Whatever your inquiry, trust that you'll be safe. Stay aware as you discover new and marvelous territories and invaluable treasures. That's what it seems to be, right? So it's like you're on to adventure. You're going the way of how it's going to be in that way, because you're thinking, well, this is the way it goes. This is the way it seems to be, right? That's why it is. So before I let you all go, try to pay attention about what's going on in this reading. Try to pay attention about what's going on in this way. This is the way it kind of concludes, but this is the way it kind of is, because that's the way it is. So, the way how this is, the way how it seems to be, is like this is the way it kind of goes. So I hope you all like this video. Please give it a like, please give a comment and enjoy, because this is the way it seems to be. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day to all, and thank you, and bye for now. Really, thank you, and bye.